Hey Daddy, is that your pride flag?
That sure is, sweetheart. All right. Hey there, folks. How you doing today? Hope all is going well for you. Please bear with background noise you may hear. There's a busy road not too far over that way. Lots of traffic this morning. It is hot out here. It's mid-June. What is today? The 20th, day after Father's Day. It is hot already. We've been going through a heat wave out here in Texas, so I'm going to try to wrap this up pretty quick for you. That being said, it's quieter out here than it is in the house, so I decided to do it here for you today. Now this video is going to go back to a rifle that we talked about a year ago. I'll put the link up. It was just a real quick little blip that I put on to see if there was anybody interested in seeing a video on it. Well, there was a marginal amount of interest in it, but today we're going to talk about that rifle. And for those of you that are not familiar with it, this is the rifle I'm talking about. Now folks, this is a safe and empty weapon. It does have a magazine in the mag well, but it is empty. It's in there mainly for aesthetics because it matches the rest of the rifle. All right, so what is this rifle? I could summarize what this rifle is by saying that it's probably the biggest mistake I've ever made in firearm acquisition. A couple of years ago, I purchased from a colleague a slightly modified second generation DPMS LR308 rifle. See if I can scratch up an old picture of it here. It had an ill-fitting M-LOK style cheese grater-esque forend on it that did not properly fit the rifle, in that this rifle has a high rail on the upper receiver and that forend was a low rail, so nothing lined up. I bought it to tinker with and try to make a shooter out of. I paid what I thought was a fair price for it, and had the rifle worked as intended, it would have been a good deal. The issue was the rifle never ran right. It had problems. It had gassing problems. It had cycling problems. And while I am pretty handy and I do a lot of tinkering on my own guns, this one got the best of me. I changed gas blocks, I changed buffers, I worked on everything, replaced the extractor on the old bolt face. I wound up putting an entire new bolt in it. Had all kinds of issues. I would have been better off in the long run if I had put the gun in a metal trash can, poured gas on it, and set it on fire, at least from a financial standpoint. So, going back to the political uncertainty that the country was in at the end of the year 2020, when I built this rifle as you see it now, I purchased a 20-inch stainless steel complete upper from Bear Creek Arsenal for the low price of, I think it was around $630. I will try to look that up and put it in the video at time of production. So that forend did not match the rest of the rifle, as well as I'm not a big fan of a stainless steel barrel on a tactical rifle, so I gave it this Duracoat. It's similar to a cryptic finish. I like to call it Creep Tech because I know the guy that made it, and well, it is what it is. That being said, enough about talking about it. Here's a few pictures of the rifle so you can see what we're working with. So one of the problems I had with this rifle in its original configuration was not only did it not cycle well, but it absolutely did not like shooting 7.62 NATO rounds. So in the past, I had function tested and proven the reliability of this rifle cycling commercial .308 ammunition. As many of you may be aware, one thing that is common to the DPMS LR308 platform is historically they have been known to be finicky when functioning with 7.62 by 51 NATO rounds. I may have mentioned it before, but this particular rifle with the factory upper was no exception. So one of the things that I really wanted to check out when I took it to the range the other day was whether or not it would function properly using regular surplus 7.62 by 51 ammunition, which is exactly what I fed this at the range. As you could see from that little video that we just played, it was cycling just fine. I shot 50 or 60 rounds through it and had 0 malfunctions. So moving on to accuracy, I will now I'll show you the results of what we found on the target once we put this on paper. I will put a note in there that all of the accuracy testing that I did on paper that I'm going to show you here was at 100 yards, and it was off of a sandbag rest on a wooden bench at the local gun range. Alright, so let me explain this chicken scratch to you. When I took the 308 to the range, the first 5 or 6 rounds I fired weren't even on paper, so I started making some really drastic scope adjustments, and the first visible round that we saw was that one right there. So I immediately did what I thought I needed to do to correct it, and wound up with this, which I was really taking my time and trying to get it done right, and I'm thinking maybe part of that could have been crosshairs jumping from the latitude and longitude movements all going on at the same time. I don't know, but wasn't a great group, but it got me pretty much where I wanted to be. Any one of those would have been a dead deer at 100 yards. So then I made an adjustment, come down here, got these two in there, and I felt that as soon as I pulled the trigger. That was me. And this group over here wasn't too bad. It was a little bit to the right, and then again, I'm not sure what happened there. You get what you pay for, folks. So the best I was able to do with this rifle using surplus ammunition at the range the other day was about 1.9 minute of angle. So that wasn't too impressive. I do think that if I had some match grade ammunition, or at least some higher quality ammunition, or maybe if I loaded up some of my own, I think it would be reasonable to assume that I could probably cut those group sizes in half. Now, in regards to the performance of this rifle, one thing that I failed to mention earlier, I may have mentioned earlier, but I don't believe that I did. This rifle has a 2-stage trigger from Palmetto State Armory that I installed on it when I had it all torn apart a couple of years ago. The factory DPMS trigger was very bad. This 2-stage trigger is pretty good. So I think with a little work on ammunition selection, we're going to be able to achieve good things out of this platform just as she sits. So hey, listen, it's hot out here. I'm going to wrap this up for today. And also, in consideration for you folks, I did try to keep the overall video length somewhere in the 10 or 12 minute range. I'm not sure where it'll be after the editing process is over. I understand you're busy like I am, and sitting down to watch a video that's 20 or 30 minutes long sometimes just isn't feasible. So that being said, I do try to keep these kind of things a little on the shorter side, and for me that's hard to do because I like to talk. But let me know in the comments section down below what you think of this. Give it a thumbs down, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you'd like to see next. I always enjoy the viewer feedback. Thank you, take care, God bless. Between you and the flies and the cars.